Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for decision. And now!
You can put on $20 million worth of production, but you can't control the fights. They're going to be what they are. So I cannot let that drive me crazy.
You and I were talking about this beforehand. We saw this on Twitter. Mm-hmm. We're seeing it on Reddit here as well, a little bit more vividly. This idea that, oh man, Merab's a champion and he's only got like one finish on his entire record. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of brought up this discussion that, oh man, we're going into this era of boring champions. I don't know, man. I'm calling bullshit on this idea that for some reason, everything's falling by the wayside. The UFC's in decline. I don't think that it is. I don't think that we're entering into a new era of boring champions. I mean, GSP had like one finish the second time that he won the belt. Like he had the finish over Sarah when he won it back. He had BJ, and then it was all the way until Bisping.
Yeah, but like GSP walked out in a gi, you know? It was kind of that was pretty cool, dude. Like, how are you going to top that, you know? Like,
you don't have to shit on the present to make the past great.
I think realistically, people just don't like Merab or Bilal. The last 2 title fights we had, right?
Yeah.
No, there was DDP in there as well, but like,
oh yeah,
recency bias I think is part of it as well.
I think that as well, the reason people feel so strongly about this too is the fact that it's the way these people fight. But if you go out there and you have a very smart game plan of stay away from him and then shoot him when he does anything and then just hold him down, you're probably going to win, but you're also probably not going to do anything fan-wise. So then when you do win, and you win in a kind of lackluster way, it's even worse, and everyone's like, oh, everyone's fucking boring now. Sean O'Malley, he couldn't do anything, could he? No. Because Merab just...
boy, mate.
He had no answer. If you can't do something to stop what's happening to you, then, you know, what do you expect?
In every generation, there has been that type of fighter. Yeah, this exists all throughout. I mean, Usman literally at 20%, just like Bilal when he became champion. But then he had some spectacular finishes, especially the Masvidal one, the Burns one.
Bilal might just start knocking everybody out, you know? Like,
he's got hands like Canelo.
We don't know, yeah. I mean, it's kind of surprising Merab can keep the pace that high, but can't get finishes. Well, like Khabib was mauling people and like attacking them.
Was he trying to finish him though?
I don't know.
Like he was, I don't doubt he's trying to win.
He's trying to kiss him.
But he kissed him big time. I feel like some people just have an attitude of where they want to win fights. And that no,
I think they should all have that attitude.
Some people want to be a star. Some people want to have amazing knockouts. Some people want to have highlight reels, you know. Justin Gaethje, I want to be the most violent man in the UFC. Some people just want to win and achieve their dream, become the champion, and they will do what they need to do to win. Which is, you're perfectly okay to do that. But when you're held back and you accrue an 11-fight winning streak and you haven't got your title shot, there's probably a reason why for that. It's because no one wants to see it.
I get what you're saying, and a lot of people are probably watching this.
I don't want to see Sean O'Malley like just KO everyone. I don't need that, but I just want to see someone do something dynamic and interesting. I want to see something that I go fucking wow.
I want to be seduced.
Yeah,
like Conor McGregor seduced you.
Honestly, just something incredible, not just
Irish magic,
not just exploiting the clear hole and just winning and doing the same thing over and over and over again. I feel like it's when you see the will to win in that person. And it was rather than just like a robotic game plan where it's just like,
yeah, hit and run.
Yeah, and
you can't catch me.
You can't tell me when you watch Merab fight that he comes off as robotic. He comes off as awkward, strange. He's doing weird things in the cage.
Unstable.
He's chatting shit to Tim Welch for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think he went on like this crazy barrage and then jumped to Gilly in the midst of it. Like it's just like so unpredictable. He's trying to dive
everyone's
through ice.
Sharing that clip. That the ice was hilarious. But everyone's sharing that clip of him doing one blitz and then taking him down and trying to gilly him, and then be like, people are acting like this is boring. This is a masterpiece. And it's like that was like one good sequence he had. There was a whole round in there where he just held him and just like give him little hammer fists.
You're supposed to
time.
Like just get a beer at that point, you know, like and just talk to your mate. Text
yeah,
your
but what does that supports what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
It's just we're moving in this way where it's like you're kind of not going to like the champions we're getting because that is the best way to win, unfortunately.
Tell that to Alex Pereira, you sandwich.
And that's why people love him.
Exactly, that's a good point.
And that's why everyone's like, oh, some people are like, you know, we should be having that Goliath fight, but then a lot of people will still be, I don't fucking care.
Well, I think, so this point has come up over and over again, at least for me, is you can try to stifle these people, but they're going to come for the belt anyway. You know, Bilal was held back. Leon was held back. Usman was held back. Woodley, to his credit, probably like should have done more to even get his title shot, but people weren't exactly thrilled about him either. All these people get through, and that's just one division, right? Like these people get through, and that's what you see with Merab. He was held back for a while. Aljo, I remember before Aljo got into that whole controversy with Jan, there was an outcry from like the hardcore fan base that this guy deserves his shot and that he was being held back because he was a wrestler. It's like, you can try to, but that's where the sport takes over, because no matter what you do, they're coming for the belts. You can try to knock one of them off and maybe one of them will lose here or there, but it's a reality. You have people, especially in Eastern Europe, that are training Sambo from the day they can walk. They're going to come for the belts. People that have been NCAA wrestlers, wrestlers from all over the world, it's like, you can't get rid of it. It's not going anywhere.
When you have guys like Merab, or maybe someone like Bilal is a bit more accurate for me. He's like, I can't gel with his personality. I don't find him particularly entertaining. And then his fight style doesn't get me in the door either, where I can kind of forgive him for that. Like Kamaru Usman, didn't really care for him, but his fights were great. I always loved his fights. Obviously, in my era, not when he was coming up and just decisioning people. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't now say, like, if you aren't spectacular in the cage, someone like Shavkat, where your performances are incredible and you're going to get a banger, you have to be like a real unique personality to get me interested. And I wonder if that's for new fans.
Well, no, I want to ask him, because he is a completely different fan. And for him, every fighter could probably be really fucking boring. But it doesn't matter, because you want to watch the best fight the best, right?
Well, I think that probably is the key to longevity. You're not attached to personalities, because you're going to be heartbroken as shit.
Yeah,
like, that's why I don't pick favorites going into fights. Like, yeah, I picked from a statistical favorite. Maybe I'll do that, but I don't do it from an emotional perspective. I'm like, I very, very rarely go into a fight and say, I want so-and-so to win.
Surely
I legitimately just want to see a good fight.
Surely you didn't start watching the sport with that mindset. You were like, oh, this guy got me in, and I really want him to...
It's hard for me to remember what my mindset was, because I know that's exactly how I am. It is hard,
yeah.
I don't remember. I was watching Tough, and it was great.
Yeah, but then you get an investment in the people in Tough.
Yeah, it's true. That does happen. And you definitely, even on Tough, right from the get-go, you're like, I want that motherfucker to win.
He's got
a cool haircut.
Is that not why people liked Forrest and stuff?
I guess when I was coming into the sport, yeah, it was definitely personalities, because it was like, oh, Brock's fighting. But I didn't care who won, because I didn't necessarily like Brock Lesnar. I was somebody who stopped watching WWE right around the time that he came in, so he was too new school for me to care about, because I didn't watch it. And then it was also like, well, can the little guy win? So there's part of me that wanted to see him win, but I also wanted to see the big guy. So I don't know. There's part of me that's always enjoyed just being like, what the fuck is about to happen here? I love the random chaos. I love the chaos. But I mean, there were definitely, Rampage, Chuck always had a personality. He was going on TV shows everywhere. Tito, he was like the guy during the Dark Ages, the literal flag bearer, like, of the company. He was full of personality always. So I definitely get through maybe those first 7 years or so when it was like, oh yeah, you didn't know anything about Ken Shamrock, and then you actually started to find out during the tough seasons that he was kind of a dickhead. It's like, he's a terrible coach, doesn't care about his guys.
From my perspective, me getting into the sport back then, I know we've been on this subject for a long time, but me getting into the sport back then, I was just watching what I could find randomly on the internet, and very difficultly catching like the live streams. Whereas if you get into the UFC now, you go to the fighters' Instagram pages, because you want to see some shit, like that's kind of difference I guess I'm talking about as well,
There's a lot more to compete with. You're
but also,
right.
if you could fucking look for it back in the day and it would be hard to find, but these days it's like, it's there and you expect it, I guess, a little bit. But
I think that's probably the bigger point for me. I guess, yeah, I do just like the fucking chaos of it, the craziness of it. I like the fact that Aljo was being heralded as perhaps one of the greatest, if not the greatest, bantamweight of all time. I didn't believe that, but people were saying that. And then you just get sparked basically with one shot. I love that. Or what happened with Aldo and Conor. I wasn't necessarily like picking Conor or Aldo in that fight, but when he sparked him like that, I was like, mind fucking blown. So, that's kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, where, the head kick with Holly Holm or the front kick with Anderson Silva and Vitor Belfort. You definitely do have some of these awe-inspiring moments that champions have. And yeah, I'll definitely say that, like, there's that lacking for somebody like Merab, but it was also lacking for Usman until he knocked out Masvidal. until he knocked out Burns. Both the fights with Colby Covington were outstanding. They were great fights. And dude, Demetrius Johnson. How do people talk about him now? Especially after his retirement. It's even going to get more legendary now that he's gone. And since he left the UFC, it got way more legendary. He was not appreciated in his time. But what do people remember? The legacy. What he did.
Xbox.
The Xbox sponsorship.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick. How did he land that?
He's the fastest person alive.
See,
and the Xbox is the fastest game of
That's
console.
the thing. It kind of like, you kind of have to be like, you're either like a wrecking machine and you're somewhat great, or you're the greatest. Okay. You know, then that's when you get the appreciation. It's like, yeah, you might not get it while you're in it, but afterwards you'll get your flowers. But if you're exciting at the time, but you don't get very far, you can get that short-term buzz off everyone.
You know, I think Bilal put on an exciting fight against Leon. And the reason why I think most people walk away with it, and I think it's kind of true of this weekend, crowd just wasn't into it.
Yeah, and they were sleepy.
But if the crowd was into it, for Leon, I think obviously it's an English crowd that's very sleepy and very much does not want that guy to win. I think it was a pro Sean O'Malley crowd, anti-Merab crowd. Also, a bunch of rich fucks that don't give a shit about MMA. I don't know. Maybe they do.
And potentially a new acoustic
Gordon
setup
Ramsay
as well.
was in there, Jason. All right?
Gordon
He
Ramsay loves
MMA.
Well, it's also true that the card was incredible until it got to the title fights. I think the moral of this story, at least for me, we have plenty of exciting champions right now. Give it time.
John Jones.
Ilya versus Max Holloway. Whoever wins on that one is going to be fucking great. I mean, John Jones still is John Jones. I bet you he's still going to sell a fuck ton against Stipe. That is a great card.
He's out, though.
He was hanging out with Ryan Garcia, dude.
This is his last fight. He's confirmed it. Last one.
Good for him, man.
Even though I'm struggling with the UFC, I'm going to continue my membership because this is where I get all my content about all my interesting fighters of the past, the present, and the future. It's only $2.99. If you sign up today, you can get the full podcast, 50 minutes, and you can watch me have a breakdown live on this channel as I question everything.
And you can watch every previous breakdown he's had.
It's rare. It's rare, but it does happen.
It does.